What we're going to talk about today is dealing with fractions because I find a lot of students are unable to deal with fractions, and it really messes with them when they get to higher level maths because they think they don't understand the concepts, but really they can't sometimes just do the simple things like add fractions. So that we're just going to work on a couple of the basics today. One of the questions I always find students ask is, when will I need to use fractions in the real world? I'm going to give a kind of real world example today. It could potentially happen. It's a bit unlikely, but we'll give it a whirl anyway. Imagine you're an artist and you want to make the perfect shade of purple. You can't remember the exact combination, but you recall that your art master, who taught you everything you know, once said that you need 1/3 red, 3/5 blue, and tragically she died before she was able to say the last colour. But you hit the books and find out that yellow must be the last colour, but you don't know in what proportion. Fractions are going to come in very handy for us now. We'll come back to this gripping maths problem towards the end, once we've learnt a bit about adding fractions. So this is probably the simplest fraction we can add. So let's put it into context of an example. Let's say Timmy and Sally go on a very unromantic date to the pizza restaurant down the road. Because Timmy is trying to be polite, he only eats half of the pizza and leaves the other half for Sally to eat. Since Timmy and Sally both ate one half of the pizza, we can see that the denominators are the same, the denominator being the number on the bottom of the fraction. And what we do now is simply add the numerators, the numbers on the top, and leave the denominators the same. Leave the denominator the same. This leaves us with 2 on top, because 1 plus 1 equals 2, and 2 on the bottom, because that's our denominator. And then, of course, we know that 2 divided by 2 equals 1, because we can ask ourselves, well, how many times do 2 things go into 2 things? And obviously, the answer is 1. Then the bill comes. Sally's a bit strange, so she insists that she wants to pay 4/7 of the bill. But Timmy, who has very little money, can only afford 1/3 of the bill. How are they supposed to know if they have paid the full amount? How are we going to add 4/7 and 1/3? Remember that we need to have a common denominator before we can add fractions. And at the moment we have a 7 and a 3, which aren't common denominators because they're different. What we need to do is work out the lowest common multiple of 7 and 3. And a multiple of a number is just the number multiplied by itself and a number just keep adding to itself. So you got 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. They're the multiples of 7. For the multiples of 3, you've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and 21. We can see that the common multiple here is the lowest common multiple between 7 and 3 is going to be 21, because that appears first in our list of multiples. So we can put 21 on the bottom. Alright, now what goes on the top? In the first example of 4/7, the 7 on the bottom became 21. So that means we multiplied it by 3. So in order to keep the fraction the same, we need to multiply the numerator, the number on the top, by 3 also. 4 by 3 is 12. The same goes for the 1/3 example. We multiplied the bottom, the denominator, by 7 to get to 21. To keep everything the same, we also need to multiply the top by 7. So that means 7 times 1 equals 7. Now we have common denominators and we can simply just add the top numbers to get 19 on 21. Awesome. But unfortunately, Timmy and Sally have not paid the full amount of the bill. They've only paid 19/21 of the total amount of the bill. And unfortunately, they'll have to work at the pizza restaurant to work off their debt. Alright, now back to our story at the beginning. We said that we had 1/3 red, 3/5 blue, and some component of yellow to get this perfect shade of purple. We can do the same thing that we did in the previous question by finding the lowest common multiple between 3 and 5. Let's have a look at the multiples. For 3, it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We can see that 15 is the lowest common multiple. So we can write 1/3 as simply 5/15, and we can write 3/5 as 9/15. Now, those that blue and red, we can add them together because now they have common denominators. Like so. 9 and 5 is 14, 14 fifteenths. Now we just need that little bit of yellow to make it that perfect shade. Well, what is the little bit of yellow going to be? It's simply going to be 1 over 15 because we know in total it has to all add up to 15 on 15. So the yellow component must be 1 on 15, leaving us with the perfect shade of purple.